All right, well, I appreciate... Oh, hey, sheeps. You're here just in time. We're getting ready to start our workshop to make some Rune Knight fighters. We just did a lot of housekeeping. Oh, sheeps, you'd be proud of us. We're wearing very nice maid outfits. We were dusting. We were gossiping. We were doing everything that maids should do. But unfortunately, we took off our maid uniforms right before you walked in. And so the place is clean at least. And but you did walk in. Oh, shoot. Raven just made a mess of things by dying all over the place. Raven just died everywhere after we had, we put on our maid outfits. We were scampering around, and oh goodness. Oh, was that an art project, Rhino? If so, I'd love to see you post it on our Discord. Now for tonight, we're gonna make ourselves a real good character. At least I hope so. Remember that Unearthed Arcana is playtest content. So if you want to run this stuff, you gotta get your DM's permission, because while it is made, it's published through Wizards of the Coast, this is simply, we're kicking around a few ideas in the office. Here's what we have. What do you think? Give us feedback. And you may very well see a modified form of this show up in a bound book later. I had to die. I needed a resin to a smexy dragonborn monk. A true maid must rock the skirt, and I don't. I'm not sure. However, I believe there's a meme about you now, Raven. Then, if you have in fact become, you are now a lusty Argonian maid. Shlomo, we are definitely going to be touching on that. Oh, Hideyoshi. Okay. I know the title Baka and Test, but I've not seen it. Yeah, and we're going to talk about. We'll talk about the aesthetics. We'll talk about the fluff, and of course we'll talk about the crunch. But before we get to that first. Let's come up with a character. And then we're going to dive into the subclass. And that will be sort of the last thing that we put onto the character. And as we go through the subclass options, let's discuss them. If you have thoughts, if you say, this ability is absolutely bonkers, has no place on a fighter or something like that, make sure you bring about it. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. This isn't... I haven't looked ahead. I have heard... Pete and Jeremy did a D&D Time Talks about it a month-ish ago. And I did listen in on that. But I would love to know what you all think as well. Thank you, Rhino. Now, for the character we're generating, because I want all our characters that we're making this week to be the same level, so we can do just sort of a side-by-side comparison. We have fighter, we have a fighter capstone, well, a Rune Knight capstone at level 18. And let's see, it's 15 for the Ranger, and it's 17 for the Rogue. So we're going to be making 18th level characters. so that we have more of an apples-to-apples comparison. We're also going to be sticking to the core rulebook. I don't want to throw in a bunch of other splat stuff, you know, Xanathars and such, because while it is compatible, I want to tie everything to the source. I don't want to build, you know, I want to build off of something jutting out and then jutting out and then jutting out, because then we're getting into maybe some convoluted mechanics, and I want us to consider this kind of fighter against the other fighters that we're very familiar with, because it's a core fighter. And this is where I begin to call on you all in chat, because I need your help to make this character. And we're going to do that through a series of dice commands in chat above. And so, Bubonic, if you wouldn't mind getting us started, would you roll a percentile in chat? Exclamation point 1D100. The chat above. Yes, Raven, it begins. Uh-oh. Did I catch Bubonic getting up and you maybe getting something to drink? All right, Bubonic, we'll come back to you with a dice roll. Shlomo, can you type exclamation point 1D100? $31. We have a female character. Now, Raven, we're going. Do I speak common? I need you to roll a D10. I need you to roll a D10 in chat to figure out which core player's handbook race we have. 3. We're making an elf. Now, let's determine which kind of elf we're going to be having. Rhino Hide, will you please type exclamation point 1D3 in chat? Not yet, Turvin. We're just doing our random rolls to start defining our character. And I'll call on you for a dice roll coming up soon, Turvin. I might call on you now. All right, Turvin, can you please type exclamation point 1D3? One. All right, so we are making a Drow. Bubonic, if you want to roll alignment, then go ahead and roll 1D100, and we're going to use the balanced odds. 10. We have a Lawful Good Drow. A Lawful Good female Drow. We already know that we're going to be making her at level 18. Hey, Sovrag. Turvin, will you please type exclamation point 1D100? This is going to tell us if we're going to replace any of her ability score improvements with feats. All right, nope, she's all natural. It is going to be all stat bumps. All right, I'm going to start filling in some information. We have a female Drow. They are medium creatures. Her alignment is Lawful Good. And we already know she's going to be a fighter Rune Knight. And that is going to be level 18. All right, good start. Now for her background. Sovrag, will you please type exclamation point 1D20? And you're going to help us determine what her background is going to be. Stops on a 2. She's a Charlatan. So she actually has a secret identity of some kind. And in particular, she's really good at running some kind of a con. Hark, will you please roll 1d6 in chat to help us determine what her con is going to be? Stops on a 3. All right. Now, I don't know what 3 is just yet, and right now, it doesn't matter. I'm simply looking to outline the character. Like, we're drawing her from the mists of creation, and we're creating this, like, this 3D silhouette with these random dice rolls. And then, when it comes time, we'll paint the details onto her. All right. Is there anyone else out in chat I haven't called on yet that would like to roll some dice? If so, hey, Raven, by the way, if you type capital M, lowercase I, lowercase w, lowercase I, check out what happens. All right, Goblin wants to roll and Zero wants to roll. We have an It Writes Itself emote. It writes itself. Iwi? Now, we already have our class and our subclass, so we don't need to worry about that. As for her class feature, well, she is a fighter, and she gets a fighting style. Goblin Ferris. I am actually going to put a... I'm going to put a weighty D6 roll in your hands. Don't roll it yet. Because normally, for the ideal, bond, and flaw, those are all 6s. And I only have a 4d6 command. So what I would like you to do, Goblin, is type exclamation point 4d6. And the first 6 is her fighting style. The other 6s are going to determine her ideal, bond, and flaw. Fighting style, so this is going to be number 3. I don't know which one that is, and again, that's fine. We're just outlining right now. Then we have Ideal 1, Bond 1, and Flaw number 2. All right. Now, that is that. Zero, I want you to tell us, or at least to help define, how old she is. Can you please type exclamation point 1D100, and that's going to give us where in her life cycle she is. Stops on a 50. She is an adult. And an adult for a drow is, and this is physical, right? This isn't what drow, like, by law are considered, or by culture to be considered adults. This is simply like a physical maturity. Drow adults are 18 plus 1d 263 years. So that's something that I'll end up rolling here. Let me make the note, though, that we do have an adult. And if I come up here, we have a dice roller. And this is going to be a 263-sided die plus 18. And let's roll it. Hi, ma'am. Thank you. Yep. You got a tail. She is only 114. So even by at least standard elven convention, she has just reached societal adulthood, as that is indicated in the player's handbook to be at 100 years old. So she's 114. Oh, she's a waifu, Turvin? Careful, if you say that, Nina might show up. Yeah, barely a legal adult in in Elven law or in Elven consideration and culture. All right, now I need Shlomo. Can you please roll a D8 in chat? Exclamation point 1D8. This is going to give us her first personality trait. A 2. Very good. However, we do not have a one-dimensional character, even with an ideal bond and flaw. Let's fill her out a little bit more and give her another personality trait. Turvin, I mean, if you want her to be your waifu, let's see if you're compatible. Will you please roll a D8 in chat and give us her other major personality trait? A 5. Because for all we know, she might turn out to be a yandere and, you know, just tear your body apart. I'm jealous. Yeah. Be careful what you wish for, Turvin, for it may come true. Excellent. Well, you know, for the most part now, we are almost finished. In fact, oh, we need her height and her weight. Let's see. Bubonic one, will you give me an exclamation point 4d6? The first two are going to go into her height modifier, and the third one's going to be her weight modifier. And Drow only start at 4'5". She could min out and only be 4'7", and it could even be shorter than a dwarf or a mini dwarves. Yeah, she could be short. I mean, even if she maxes out, she'd be 5'5". So she'd be a bit of a short stack. So let's see. We have 3, 2, and 5. So 3 and 2 is 7. So she is 5 foot exactly. And then, so 5 times 5 is 25. She is 5 feet tall and 100 pounds. And now where this comes in handy, I mean, I don't know, your DM might have a weight-sensitive trap, or sometimes when you're jumping, your height can be taken into consideration. And remember that the 100 pounds, it doesn't go against her carrying capacity. This is her, she gets up in the morning in her pajamas, you know, she brushes her teeth, scratches her butt, and like that's 100 pounds right there. That's not her armor. Ma'am, stop it. Don't act up. My cat is getting into things. And so this is just her. Excuse me. You can meow at me all you want. All right, well, we're gonna have to deal with a little papery sounding background noise. All right, so here we go. You know, and hopefully she's starting to form in your mind. Hey, Age of Tesla, body weight should count against your carrying capacity if you have a negative strength mod. Ooh, Tesla, you're playing vicious here. Why are you ripping paper? Meow. Do you hear that? She rips paper and she looks up at me like, what are you gonna do? You're sitting there broadcasting. You can't reach me. Oh, sheeps! I'm glad you're still here. I should have gotten you in on some dice rolls. Why aren't I... I mean, should we just have a paper-ripping ASMR session? Is this what we've become? And daily, too! Aw! Well, that's fine. We're going to make another character tonight, so y'all can get in on this. Meow. Yeah, meow. I love it. Her calico, like, because she's a tortoiseshell calico, she's all splotchy. When she meows, parts of the inside of her mouth are just like that, you know, nice like pink cat mouth color. But the pigment also goes onto some of her gums and the inside of her mouth, so even the inside of her mouth is kind of splotchy. It is creepy and lovely. Sorry. She keeps looking at me too, like, what? What? What are you gonna do? I'm over here. I'm tearing paper. Anyway. Hey, Fluffy Sheep. Little Fluff Puppy is part Dalmatian and has spots in his mouth. Oh, yeah. All right, so let's make our lawful good, or is she, our lawful good drow. Now, when I do character creation, I say to heck, 2C's heck, with the way that you're taught in the player's handbook. It's not necessarily a bad way. But for our purposes, I love getting to know who our character is. And the best way to do that in an aspect of 5th edition I love is the background system. I want to start with her background, and then we'll worry about her being a drow and a fighter. It's not that those aren't important, but those are, you know, those are things that support, you know, who she is. It's like what she does, but I want to know who she is. Remember, we're human beings, not human doings. Oh, gotcha, Daily. All right, no problem. And she is a charlatan. Arguably, do we even know her then? We're going to get some skill proficiencies in deception and sleight of hand. We're also going to get some tool proficiencies with a disguise kit, and a forgery kit. We are also going to get some equipment. We're going to get some fine clothes. We are going to get a disguise kit. Pex Elroy, thank you very much for the follow and welcome aboard. I hope you enjoy what you're hearing so far. Tools of the con of our choice. Well, you know what? Let's peek ahead a little bit here. Because it was rolled that she is Charlatan number 3. What is her con? Number 3, I insinuate myself into people's lives to prey on their weakness and secure their fortunes. And so what this could end up being, I mean, this certainly can go into the realm of disguise kit. You know, she could pretend to be a poor beggar, you know, and ingratiate herself into someone's life. She could pretend to be the heiress, a poor widowed heiress, and have some perfumes. And so, as part of her disguise kit, this could simply, you know, this could be another disguise kit or special charges or uses of it in some way. Or you can just put something like perfume bottles. Because maybe you have some nice smelling perfume, but also, you know, maybe you don't want to roll around in the mud yourself, and so you just apply some, you know, some, like, the smells of the city perfume to try and authenticate that you are, in fact, a riffraff street rat. She don't buy that. But if only people would look closer, then they'd see that she's just a poor boy. And then we're going to get a belt pouch containing 15 gold. Although we're making a level 18 character, so, you know, a lot of this isn't necessarily going to be super duper relevant, because, I mean, yeah, we can give her a starting longsword. Okay. But by level 18, you probably don't have your starting longsword. She's a funeral director of Lawful. Bubonic, you're 2 steps ahead of me. I was just we're just getting to that point. Yep, she is a gold digger, Sovreg. And so the question is she digging into the fortunes of people who she feels are unjust, so maybe she gives the money to less fortunate? Or is she the Fujiko to Lupin in this case? Turvin says, I watched a video a long time ago which states every fantasy race is kind of human, just an aspect to the extreme. Yes, it's super easy. If you want to run like a human-only D&D world, you know, the races are just different humans who have specialties for some reason. She loves... Of course, she'll always tell you she loves you, Turvin. She'll always tell you that she loves you. Now, this, if I can throw in a fun little twist, because she gets, you know, some kind of a tool of the trade, and she is a gold digger, a bit of a heartbreaker. What if this tool, or I'll put con tool, is going to be a trinket of some kind. A trinket of some kind. And how can we work that trinket into perhaps the people she targets? And I love roll. I mean, I won't roll for the trinket, but I love rolling for trinkets and saving it for last, because if you ever want that kind of eerie tingle up your spine, which a lot of us invoke the magic words "it writes itself," the trinket as the cherry on top can do that. And so, Fluffy Sheep, if you're still here, can you roll a percentile in chat? Exclamation point 1D100. Isn't she lawful good? Why would she betray people? And we are going to explore this when we explore her personality, Turvin. You asked a very good question, and we are going to answer that. Do not worry. You don't worry either. Meow. Okay. Fluffy Sheep may be otherwise indisposed, as Fluffy Puppy might be out for a walk. Pex Elroy, are you still out there? Can you type exclamation point 1D100, Pex? We might have also lost Pex. All right, Age of Tesla. You just commented, so unless you're gonna ghost me, can you give me a percentile roll in chat? We rolled a 69, and Shlomo is in immediately with the nice. Y'all are something else. Oh, Sheeps is shouting it out from the highest mountain. Hey, Blood Deuce, welcome. Chat has been disabled for 3 seconds. All right. Now let's explore more about her. You're just heckin' quiet. That's fine, Blood Deuce. If you want to lurk, you're welcome to lurk. I don't expect anyone to talk or roll or anything. If you're here to just sit back and relax, then do so. Now, she has a background feature called False Identity. The background feature goes as follows. You have created a second identity that includes documentation, established acquaintances, and disguises that allow you to assume that persona. Kurosko. If you want me to hard pronounce the SU, I can if you want, though normally it's kind of, the U is glazed over. Thank you very much for the follow. Additionally, you can forge documents, including official papers and personal letters, as long as you have seen an example of the kind of document or the handwriting you're trying to copy. And this is wonderful for love letters and insinuating yourself into people's lives. You can be the wonderful, the secretary who works for the big boss and starts wanting to stay late in order to get a raise. And then she gets the raise from the the coin purse that she lifts off of the person, or she gets the information that leads to the undoing of the embezzlement that the big boss has been hiding. She needs to hide from bad people she wasn't expected to love, so she must hide. Well, hold on to that idea. That could be the case. So her false identity may very well be either this lawful good persona, this fighter that can invoke ancient runes, or it is her... It's her nature or it's her nurture. How about that? Maybe she can operate completely. Hey, a redemption arc could be in place too, Shlomo. But maybe she can operate very well in both traditional Drow society, which of course is cruel and wicked, though she also can comfortably operate in civilized lands outside of the Underdark, or whatever the equivalent is in the fantasy world we're creating where she exists. We could also, maybe her favorite identity is sort of the woman in red, where she goes and tries to get people's attention. And if she gets someone's attention, she knows that they're a mark. But we can make up a false identity. This is probably the disguise that we commonly undertake. And that could play into our trinket as well. Where can I find the handbook? The player's handbook, you can find at your friendly local game store. There's if you do a search around, there's probably a comic or a game store close to you that has a player's handbook available. You can also find digital copies through D&D Beyond. And yeah, you can also find them in big bookstores. I think you might even be able to get them in Walmart or Target as well. All right, now her personality. Her personality was rolled to be 2 and 5. Personality trait number 2 is as follows. And I'm going to scoot this over a little bit here so I can more clearly present. Personality trait 2 and 5. 2 reads, I have a joke for every occasion, especially occasions where humor is inappropriate. So she's not afraid to make a quip, even a dad joke, or it's something along those lines. It's not that she's necessarily rude and crude, but she is a jokester. And number 5, I lie about almost everything, even when there's no good reason. Even when there's no good reason to. So she does have a very cavalier attitude. She's happy to joke around, and she'll, you ask her a question, like, yeah, how's the weather? And she'll look up and it's a bright sunny day. Looks like rain. See you around. And so there's always maybe an air of mystery. It doesn't mean that she's lying always to manipulate and to hurt. It's just as part of her natural, if you were playing this character at home, this is a good roleplay prompt for you to just have some fun little quips and phrases, to have a little a notebook filled with fun little jokes, or for you to always insert yourself into things that are happening. With just a handy, you say what's happening by saying what's not happening, or by saying something that's different, and it does create this, it does create this other identity, this other persona, And, you know, you could be looking at these personality traits, and of course we're going to get to her ideal here. Which is, actually, you know what, let's just go to the ideal, because this is going to be a good way to scoop all of this notion up at once. Turvin says she made a crude joke on her first date. It was kind of funny, but I knew there was more behind it. Bubonic One said, if you find people to play with, the player who controls the game needs 2 other books. But the player only needs the player's handbooks. The Drow started a joke, which started the whole crying. Ma'am, please stop thwacking the camera with your tail. Thank you. She's full of love, and she wants to share it. Isn't that right? Meow, okay. So her ideal is independence. I am a free spirit. No one tells me what to do. All right. So the question was, how can you have a lawful good drow? How can you have a charlatan that's lawful good? How does this match up? And especially, you know, you might say Matty Morgs. That clearly says chaotic in parentheses after the independence ideal. Are you telling me we have a lawful good, you know, chaotic ideal of independence character? Yes, we do. We absolutely do. Yeah. Well, hey, Shlomo. All right, let's think about this. Your alignment is your character's expression. The expression in the things that you say, the expression in how you act. What gets past your brain to mouth filter or your brain to hand filter? Just as, you know, we'll use the Joker. We'll say that the Joker's chaotic evil. Nothing about being chaotic evil would stop the Joker from donating $10 to a church in order to help send kids on a summer camp trip. Now, that doesn't make him good, but it doesn't prevent him from being evil still with his expression. How she jokes, how she insinuates herself into people's lives. She does so in a methodical manner. Methodical. She uses a method. She uses a regiment. It doesn't mean she follows the law of the land, because in one land, something could be perfectly legal. And she's eating paper again. You know, in the Drow capture slaves. Slavery is 100% legal in Drow society. Meanwhile, you go up to, I don't know, let's say the Wood Elf village that they continually raid for slaves. Slavery is 100% not legal. And so if you define a lawful character by following the laws of the land, that is infinitely mutable and requires intimate knowledge of every culture and every context for law. So if you take the term lawful and you see it that she applies a methodology, much like a spider, maybe like a hunting spider, you know, not necessarily like an orb spinner, like a web weaver. She methodically hunts the people that she wishes to woo for their money. And of course, what does she do with that money? That would make her good. Good, it doesn't mean she can't be selfish. She might very well buy fine things. She has nice clothes. She would need jewelry in order to hobnob with the snobs, so to speak. Though she's not afraid of parting with it. She's not afraid of sharing it, or even employing people with it. Giving someone a job, you know, money and purpose, especially if you are paying decently, you know, that could very much be a good act. And so we have someone who is lawful good, but she hunts her marks methodically. The whole, there's a joke for everything, might come across as crass or rude to some people. Though it would be up to you to define what gets through her brain to mouth filter and how does the joking play into what she's trying to establish. There's a hunting spider. There's a hunting spider that places a drop of water on its head because the water reflects light. And also water tends to, flow down leaves. And if you're trying to hunt bugs that live on leaves and have no problem with drops of water because they see it all the time with the morning dew or a rain, you've suddenly taken on a disguise. That is who this character is. She's a hunting spider. She's a wolf spider. And so the people she goes after to get their money, she's methodical. The whole joking aspect is it's a disguise. It is a part of her routine. It is a part of who she is and how she has to maintain a consistent. Consistency can also be attributed to lawfulness, right? A consistent application. Think of like the law of gravity. I mean, until we get into some, metaphysical or, just some really weird science, gravity is universal. It is universally applied. There is a law of gravity. You could do funky stuff to it, but all the bends take place, within the law of gravity. And so she has this exterior. She is methodical. She maintains it. It doesn't change. Everyone might know her as a jokester. Deep down inside, it's just like clockwork. She has responses, automatic, ready to go. I'm sorry, I'm missing chat a little bit here. Just because you believe in independence doesn't mean you can't form contracts of your own volition. Yeah, it would be a very like it would be a libertarian style approach. If any of you are familiar with that political concept, I'm not looking to get political on the channel, but it's if someone wanted to go into a voluntary contract, again, we're talking kind of like an extreme of a libertarian style thought. Slavery, owning someone else, absolutely bad. If someone, by their will, wanted to go into a contract with you to serve you, even for nothing in return, that is a voluntary interaction. And so that would be, in this example, your mileage may vary with any of your beliefs, that would be an acceptable state. Even though the end result is the same, it's the means and how you got there. And so she may very well believe in independence. And so the money she gets off of people could buy out slaves from the Drow. Because remember, if she can operate in Drow circles and in non-Drow circles flawlessly, then, well, it would seem that she might believe in independence of social mobility. She might want to help people, give them a hand up, support a charity, or support an abolitionist movement. And so she'll go and woo, a Duragar slaver, or a Drow slaver, or even just a human one. I mean, come on. It's not like humans are not without their own sins in the above world in real life or fantasy. It's whomever. Maybe she goes and helps small businesses. I don't know. But this is how we can have a lawful good person. The lawful good is the expression of herself. She does selfless things on a fairly consistent basis. Maybe not altruistic. Maybe sometimes she is. But she's fine about being selfless. And she's also methodical in her application. But it doesn't mean that she doesn't believe she's a free spirit and other people should be free as well. Or that she jokes around even at an inappropriate time. So anyway, let's move on with her personality. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a little bit more chat here. Very good observation on cultural alignment aspects. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Pex. Alignment isn't absolute in D&D, or it shouldn't be. And yes, I've seen games where it is, and they get old fast. Well, yeah, because then you're just playing an alignment. You're not playing a character. You're playing to 2 letters that dictate who you are and what you do, and that it makes you very one-dimensional. Turvin says, well, if she obeys the law of nature, she could easily hunt everyone in order to live. And that's if we're going with a concept of that. Of course, different people might have different concepts of nature. Some might see it as hunting and killing and eating. Others might see it as blessings and fertility of crops and animals and people. So, isn't that more like Robin Hood's a chaotic good? Robin Hood isn't always chaotic good, though. I mean, it's a good default to imagine a chaotic good lifestyle. But Robin Hood is very methodical. He just doesn't hand out money to everyone. You know, he gives it to the church. He only takes from certain people that he has judged. He's not lol random, I'm going to steal from everyone, but I'll also give back to, a bunch of different charities. Yes, some Robin Hoods can be very lawful. You are running an organization. You're hand-picking your targets because you know they have the wealth, because they meet certain qualifications. And then you specifically are directing money back to different people or organizations. Not just sort of like a, Prince Ali and your gold coins off the back of an elephant to whoever's on the side of the street. Because think of this. Chaotic, right? We think of chaos or chaotic. If we have methodical people being lawful, chaotic people are impulsive. It doesn't have to be the stereotype of, ooh, squirrel, blinking lights, shiny object, I'm the penguin of doom, lol random. That doesn't have to, you can be impulsive and do that, of course. But impulsive people can also be super intelligent. Their mind just is going from option to option to option. Are just more free-spirited and are willing to act on a whim instead of thinking things through. It can, but it does not have to be that way, Turvin. Now, what is her bond to the world in which we're creating by, creating her? She's a product of this world. And so there's places and people that she shares a connection to. Her bond is number 1. I fleeced, so I pulled a con. I fleeced the wrong person and must work to ensure that this individual never crosses paths with me or those I care about. So, we messed up. We said the wrong thing, or we meant to target one person and it's supposed to be another. Someone might recognize us, and if this person ever does, this is going to put who we are and what we do and all the people that we care about or benefit from our work in jeopardy. And if you're a dungeon master, this is your player handing you villain material, big bad evil guy material, frenemy material, rival material. If your player comes up to you with this sheet and you read that, suddenly there's a person in the world that may very well pop up over the course of the game. And how will this character play it off? And of course, that is going to draw that character into the world because she is connected in this way. You know, Tesla, we just had a Les Mis question on Trivia Murder Party 2 last night after our D&D game. Sounds like Gary from Pokemon? Yeah. You know, to whatever degree that the story calls for, this is your prompt. All right, now what is her flaw? We are all flawed creatures. All of us. Hers in particular. Oh, thank you for the mustache. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Thank you. There we go. Her flaw is, I'm always in debt. I spend my ill-gotten gains on decadent luxuries faster than I bring them in. Now, if we take a look at this, we go, whoa, hold on. Ill-gotten? That has to be evil. She has to be a bad guy. She has to be stealing. You can take it this literally if you want, or simply use this as a prompt and say that she spends her money on, I don't know, someone says, hey, I got a bridge I want to sell you. Someone says, hey, you want to go in on this restaurant? Hey, can I get a loan? Those could very much be luxuries she spends money on, trying to help people, but it fails. You know, she's in debt and she has people in debt to her, but she might not really be a heavy-handed enforcer. And so, in order to keep paying for things, because she could just be a poor spender. You know, her flaw, that's what this is really getting to. She makes unwise financial decisions. That's right. You want to buy? I got a nice house for you. It's 2007. It might be naivety. Naivete, I'm sorry. Now that we know the core of our character, everything else is going to come together wonderfully. Because this is going to guide our selection of skills. This is going to guide our selection. Did you all notice? There are no ability scores. Ability scores are one of the last things that we put on this character. Her ability scores right now do not matter. Her scores will be determined by who she is, because that's a natural outcome of her lifestyle, of her choices, of her decisions, and her morals. Not the other way. We can argue the other way around too. But when we're building a character like this, we're bringing her to life. The scores will happen as they do. Good morning to you, Syart. Now let's find out. We know what she gets for being a charlatan. Let's find out, what does she get for being a drow? All elves have these elf traits. Your dexterity score increases by 2. So I'm gonna float a 2 here until we get our scores in. Our speed is 30 feet. And that'll give us a 15 climb, 15 swim, and 0 fly. We do get, well, actually, we're going to have 120 feet of dark vision because we're a drow. 120 feet of dark vision. We're also going to have proficiency in the perception skill because of our keen senses. We also have Fey ancestry. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. So under advantages, I'm going to type versus charmed. And for a racial descriptor, I'm going to put Fey ancestry right here. We also can enter a trance, where we can get a full rest with only 4 hours of being in a semi-conscious state. Languages. You can speak, read, and write Common and Elvish, or Elven if you prefer. And now we are going to apply her sub-race. High elves get their own things. Wood elves get their own things, and Drow get their own things. Drow have a charisma score bump. Charisma score increases by 1. Where dark vision is 120 feet. We have sunlight sensitivity. So if we are in natural sunlight or a magical equivalent, that will affect some aspects of our character. I don't want to get into the minutia. If you have your player's handbook, read along at home if you don't already know. And if you know, then I put it on a list and we can keep moving. We also are going to get some Drow magic. You know the Dancing Lights cantrip. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast the Fairy Fire spell once per day. And when you reach 5th level, you can also cast the Darkness spell once per day. Charisma is your spellcasting ability for these spells. And I am going to put, under cantrips, I'm going to put DM for Drow magic, Dancing Lights. And on the 3rd page here, for Drow magic, I'm going to put Dancing Lights. And if it's relevant, we can also make the indication that this magic is charisma based. And so here, under Drow magic, we know Fairy Fire, once per long rest, off of charisma. Drow magic, Darkness, once per long rest, charisma based. And lastly, we have Drow weapon training. You have proficiency with rapiers, short swords, and hand crossbows. Because we're going to be a fighter, that isn't going to be as relevant because fighters get training in all martial and simple weapons. So it'll be included in there. Hey, James. Oh, and hey, thank you very much, James. And there's the thank you back. I presume then... Oh no! Ah! Oh no! It's happening! Ah! Duck and cover! Duck and cover! all the chocolatey love. Emotes for everyone! James, do you want me to add that onto your account, or are you looking to get some capsules tonight? Add it into the total. Okay. So I need to add yours and Hark's still. Now let's make her a fighter. A level 18 fighter. And I'm talking generic fighter. We're not adding a subclass yet because that is in the Unearthed Arcana supplement or the playtest. This is what we're looking at here. As a fighter, we are going to be getting D10 hit die. And it just so happens at level 18 that we have 18 of them. Hit die are, they help determine how many hit points you can get every time you level up. And it's also a pool of natural recovery so that on a rest, you don't have to drink potions or use magic. It's, you catching your breath. Because not all hit point loss is, slashes across the chest or eyeballs, flying over the battlefield or, it doesn't have to be traumatic injury. It could be the onset of exhaustion. It could be mental stress. It could be just being out of breath. It could be the will to fight is represented in the nebulous concept of hit points. All right, so we're a D10 hit die class. We get 18 of them. We are proficient with all armor and shields. And we're also proficient with simple weapons and martial weapons. Now, this does not say all weapons, and that's because there could be some custom or exotic weapon that, maybe was invented by a particular tribe, and we don't know how to use that weapon effectively. However, because we are humanoid, we understand armor. That could be a a lot more easy to employ than, say, you know, weapons made for the Thri-kreen that have 4 arms. Aw, Psyart! Well, thank you for re-upping, and enjoy your next spicy level of salsa next to your name. We get no tool proficiencies, but we do get proficiency with strength saving throws and constitution saving throws. So I'm going to fill those diamonds in here on our character sheet. Next up, we get to choose 2 skills from acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, history, insight, intimidation, perception, and survival. Well, we already have perception because we're an elf. We're a dark elf, a drow. Now for the other skills. Let's turn to what we know about her. I have a joke for every occasion, especially occasions where humor is inappropriate. That could translate into insight. You know, that could be dropping a hint. That could be trying to give someone some subtle reassurance. That could also be intimidation. Can you imagine you're at a party and a nice drow lady kind of comes up to you and she's getting social, and you get that effect of, you know, wow, this is a nice mansion you have. Be a shame if something happened to it. Waka waka. And she kind of like, I don't know, like bumps a candelabra next to a candle, and it like wobbles a little bit, but then settles. And suddenly the message gets across through the joke that she knows. I lie about almost everything, even when there's no good reason to. Well, we do not have, or I'm sorry, we do have deception from our background, so we don't need to worry about that. But let's say that we didn't for some reason, and that was a personality trait of hers. You could make an argument to your DM and ask, can I replace intimidation with deception and take that? They're both charisma, and this would really play into my character concept. And maybe your DM says yes. Maybe your DM says no. And it would be up to you to, you know, to either make a convincing argument or to play along with it. Independence, she's a free spirit. No one tells her what to do. I fleece the wrong person and must work to ensure this individual never crosses paths with me or those I care about. And I'm always in debt. I spend my ill-gotten gains on decadent luxuries faster than I bring them in. I see survival, yes, to scrimp and save, or in some cases to get by with not too much, especially if she's in debt often. I mean, she could be the type of hero you see him in animes and stuff. You know, they come into town, everyone's like, you're a drifter, and you know, and then something happens and they turn to the stranger, and then she just goes and lays the smack down, and they're like, oh yay, they shower her with gold, but then she like blows it at the inn on a big feast for everyone, and then leaves town to go to the next one. That could end up being her in a way. I think history. You know, I'm getting a history vibe, because if you need to know royal houses, if you need to know insignias, if you need to understand the who's and the where's and the what's in order to insinuate yourself into people's lives, I think knowing history would be very important for her. That's a nice guard you have there. Shall I introduce him to the blunt end of a hammer? The saving throws from being a fighter, Turvin. So I like survival. I like survival, and I like history. Now, if any of you want to make an argument for something else, hey, this is our character, not my character. I will not be upset if you're like, no, she has to have insight. It's too perfect. And you make a case for it, sure. But for now, I'm clicking this button, and I'm going to click this button too. All right, her starting gear, not going to worry about it. She's level 18. She probably doesn't wear chainmail anymore, or if she does, it's a lot sparklier than what it began, than what she began with her first, her first suit of chainmail, which is probably not Red Sonja style chainmail. And I don't know, unless she's kind of going after like a warlord that's ogling her. She might play into that then. What is that? Yeah, Red Sonja style, Turvin. Yeah, she might get some sunglasses, effectively, Bubonic. Yeah, something along those lines, or contact lenses. All right, now her fighting style was rolled to be number 3. She is a dueling fighting style fighter. When you're wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you gain a +2 bonus to damage rolls with that weapon. Aviator shades. There you go. Yeah, so, you know, she's got the Sarah Connor aviator, like bombardier, or no, the aviators are the ones that have, like, the metal that goes on along the side, too, I think, right? All right, next up, she is going to get Second Wind. So she can recover in combat. Her martial archetype, we're going to worry about that in a little bit. We're not there yet. We're only building the fighter portion of her, not the rune knight portion of her. She is going to get an extra attack. And she is actually going to get 2 extra attacks. So she can swing 3 times. She is also going to be indomitable. And she can actually use this 3 times between long rests. 3/long rest. To re-roll a save. Even if it's not one that she has proficiency on. Okay. So that's her as a fighter. Yeah, average Joe just punched the sun. Yeah, Top Gun. Can you just imagine, you know, the party has like some little like sending stone like earrings or something, and you know the party knows that she's like the infiltrator. She's going into the big ball to work over the boss, and you know, and so the party leader is saying, you know, whatever, the Drow, the Drow, we'll call our Drow Navet for some reason. I don't know where I would have gotten the name Navet from, but let's say, you know, Navet, you see the boss? Can you get to him? Can you get to him? And like everyone's doing waltzes and stuff in the ballroom, and she has her glasses on, and she says, "Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full." She comes back after doing some risky maneuver in the ballroom, and the leader's going, you know, damn it, Navet! Your ego's writing checks your body can't cash. And then, of course, whoa, money? Oh, gosh. All right, let's explore what the heck. What in the heck is a Rune Knight? First of all, I do want to reiterate, this is playtest content. What we may read could very well be broken, by super powered. It could be underpowered, or you could say this is a fighter subclass. This feels more like a wizard subclass to me, or something along those lines. So we can have a discussion. Shlomo coming in solid 100% brokeno. All right. You discovered how to enhance your martial prowess using the supernatural power of runes. The ancient practice of rune magic originated with gigantes. Skiltgraver, rune cutters, can be found among any type of giants, and you likely learned your methods first or secondhand from such a mystical artisan. Whether you found the giants, the gigantes, work carved into a hill or cave, learned of the runes from a traveling sage, or met the gigante in person, you studied the gigante's craft. In time, you learned how to carve and apply runes to your equipment and how to invoke their magic, ultimately becoming a Rune Knight. I thought rune magic originated from RuneScape. Well, I mean, if D&D consented to that, we'd have to realize that RuneScape originally thought of runes and fantasy, and then they'd probably owe some royalties to the originators, so they're keeping it on the down low. Tesla, come on now. Bonus proficiencies. A 3rd level Rune Knight gets proficiency with Smith's tools, and you learn to speak, read, and write Giant. Now, something that comes to mind, I'm going to add this as we're going along here. Something that comes to mind, well, I mean, we're talking, I'm going to talk about the originations of magic and such, but not the IRL ones. This, with the presentation, it is absolutely flavorful, though there may be people who say, I don't want you to force runes to only be from giants. What if I don't have giants in my game? You know, is everything going to be flavored that giants have to exist or have to have this skill or something along those lines? Now, of course, when it comes to fluff, no. These are your runes. Do what you wish. Though that has come up that I've noticed as a complaint, is that this does seem to force some lore into the subclass. You know, so maybe as a DM, if you allow this and you don't want to have giants, don't give the proficiency of the giant language. But I don't know, let's say gnomes. Gnomes, the kind of opposite of giants, are the ones who created runes. Well, then give them the gnomish language proficiency. There you go. Oh, you don't like Rune Knight for that reason? Well, so in this case, Blood Deuce, if you allowed it, then the runes could just be... the runes could be given from the heavens, and you might learn Celestial. You know, you know, an elemental language, because runes might be the foundation of creation. And so you might learn Orin, or Terran, or even just Primordial itself. Dwarves. Absolutely. Alright, we then get rune magic at level 3. You learn how to use runes to enhance your gear. When you gain this feature, you learn how to inscribe 2 runes of your choice on weapons, armor, or shields. See rune options. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can touch a number of objects equal to the number of runes you know, and you inscribe a different rune onto each of the objects. To be eligible, an object must be a weapon, a suit of armor, or a shield. Your rune remains on an object until you finish a long rest, and an object can bear only one of your runes. Each time you gain a level in this class, you can replace one rune you know with a different one. So sort of like swapping out spells between levels, we can swap out runes. And you know, interestingly enough, are any of you familiar with one of the capabilities of lizard folk? One of the racial traits of lizard folk. And if you are, and you want to be a smarty pants, can you tell me how that intersects with this ability to have rune magic? Can monks be runed? Ah. Well, if we look at what is written here, the monk cannot be runed. However, a sword, because monks are proficient with short swords, or a staff could. Monks don't get armor proficiency, though if a monk gets armor proficiency someplace else, then that could be ruined. But unless the DM were to say, yeah, you can totally carve into the flesh of your friend. I mean, hey, I don't know. There's dragon marks in Eberron, so maybe it's more like a dragon mark. But, you know, maybe you can, like, brand. Yep, 1 second, Pouty. Do 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 do. There you go. So these are our rune options. Here are rune options for the rune magic feature. They are all magical effects. So, you know, if it comes to maybe some wild magic interaction or some magic cancellation, there you go. If a rune requires a saving throw, your rune magic save equals 8 plus your proficiency plus intelligence modifier. This is, so, you know, you have Eldritch Knights, which cast off of intelligence as per a wizard. You have Rune Knights, which are also intelligent fighters. Hog, a hill rune. This rune's magic bestows a resilience reminiscent of a hill giant. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, and you have resistance against poison damage. Okay. Pretty solid. Dwarves get it. Poison's a pretty commonly resisted damage type. A lot of things resist or are immune to it. Not too bad. You know, you get it at level 3 if you don't already have it. If you're a Yuan-Ti, it's redundant. If you're a dwarf, it's redundant. Okay. In addition, you can invoke the rune as a bonus action, gaining resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for 1 minute. Once you invoke the rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or a long rest. So, once per rest, you get the damage nullification of a barbarian, and we're a fighter. This, I can see causing people to go, well, this is kind of muddying the waters a little bit now. Because, you know, if I start with chainmail and a shield, I have an 18 AC. You know, 19 if we took the other fighting style, defensive. At level 1, we can start with a, from the book, 19 AC. And we can then also, for a combat, many combats are over in 3 or 4 turns on average, or rounds. So for 10 rounds, we can have the majority of the damage that's coming to us, especially at level 3. Yeah, even 20. And yeah, that's so it. There's also something that I don't know, it might need to be specified, because if I recall correctly, it's specified with the barbarian. Let's go to Rage. Okay, no, so that is just straight up. I was going to say, is it specifying non-magical? Is it specifying non-magical? Now, of course, you know, barbarians can rage at level 1. So, is that really a thing? Well, barbarians, arguably, need the damage reduction because they don't tend to be as tanky with an armor class. Not that they couldn't. I mean, they could easily, you know, they could probably have by level 3, if in a standard array, probably like a 17, maybe 18 if they go shield. Something along those lines. But they're also under the condition that they're raging, which is a limited resource. Per day, not per rest. And so this first rune... Oh, why do I have bullets on my monster manual? Get out of here. So, I can see where a lot of people might think that this is crossing into barbarian territory, and just this rune alone at level 3 can make someone very powerful. Next up, we have Ild, which is a fire rune. This rune's magic channels the masterful craftsmanship of the fire giant smiths. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that uses your proficiency with a tool. Now, we're getting a racial splash and a class splash. We're getting kind of like a knowledge cleric splash, or even a battle master fighter splash on top of another subclass of fighter. Ultimately, you know, is getting you getting tool proficiency going to make or break a campaign? There's probably that one time, you know, you're like, yeah, the DM allowed the forging of a ridiculous sword, but needed a ridiculous roll, and you get it. You know, I'm fine with, like, roleplay fluff stuff for tool use and, you know, downtime stuff, making your own armor because it's cool. I'm fine with that. I don't think that's, like, you know, I'm not going to get all huffy, like, well, that is stealing from knowledge clerics. I mean, it kind of is, but, yeah, whatever. In addition, I'm not getting too upset by it, whereas I'm getting a little caught up on the hog rune. In addition, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can invoke the rune to summon fiery shackles. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be restrained for 1 minute. While restrained by the shackles, the target takes 2d6 fire damage at the start of each of its turns. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, banishing the shackles on a success. Once you invoke the rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. This does have the potential. This does have the potential to be super DPR mode. If they fail every save, it would be 20d6. Yeah. Though I want you to imagine this, though. Average Joe, you are running you're running a wizard. So Average Joe the wizard is here, and he's casting spells at me that make me upset. And I have this rune. I come over to Average Joe Wizard, and I say, hey, you know what? You really should stop that. All right, Wizard. I want you to make a strength saving throw, please. Oh, and by the way, you have manacles on? Can the DM rule that somatic components cannot be made with the shackles if you're a spellcaster, a wizard, or anything else? Would it stop that from happening? I know you did. And also, that is an absolute concentration. Well, it's a threatener anyway. Because now the caster is taking fire damage at the start of each of its turns. It is restrained. You know what? Hang on. Does restrained? I need to double check the fine. I need to double check the fine print on that, because I don't want to present incorrect information. And some of the conditions are kind of close in what they do, or they'll refer to each other. Let's see. Conditions are on page 290. Speed becomes 0, can't benefit. Attack rolls made against a creature have advantage, and the creature's attack rolls have disadvantage, and it has disadvantage. Okay, so it doesn't say that they can't cast spells in that case. They could still theoretically do somatic components. So that would just be, you know, narration at the table. But ooh, slapping these things on, this is gonna hurt. And because it's fire damage, if you, I don't know, let's say you could actually put these shackles on a barbarian. Barbarians are gonna burn through that HP pretty quickly. Nick Direct, thank you. And hey, Nick Direct, oh, we had a Twitch baby together. I hope you take responsibility and enjoy that pitcher of ice cold tea next to your name at 9 months. Yeah, that could be as well, Tesla. That could be. So, I mean, this is a good source of damage. Now, odds are, in many cases, unless it's the wizard, maybe even the monk, because it's a strength save, you might get around in on this. So, is this like super buko DPR? It can be. It's not tremendous. But it's a good trick to pull in combat. I think this is still more powerful. Anyway. Ys, Frost Rune. This rune's magic evokes a frost giant's stoic calm. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on wisdom animal handling checks and charisma intimidation checks. So this is kind of like slotting in a warlock invocation that gives you some skill proficiencies. Or again, the knowledge cleric. In addition, you can invoke the rune as a bonus action to increase your strength score by 2 for 10 minutes. This increase can cause your score to exceed 20 but not 30. Once you invoke a rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. So 10 minutes, that's good RP time for pushing a boulder out of the path. That's good. Ultimately it's a +1 modifier. Is that, tremendous? It's not. It is kind of counting as a quasi magic weapon because it's going to give you an extra +1 to hit and damage. Is it broken? It'll get you through one combat, or in case you're waylaid in the course of 10 minutes by 2 groups or something. You can get through 2 with a +1. You're level 3 by that point in time, so you might already have a +1 to hit and damage on your weapon, or you'd be getting it soon. So I don't know in this case if this is terribly busted. Over 20 at level 3. Shlomo's putting on the shades. Challenge accepted, apparently. Tamric, we are looking at the Rune Knight playtest subclass for fighter in Unearthed Arcana. Sky, the Cloud Rune. This rune's magic emulates the deceptiveness of a cloud giant. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on dexterity, sleight of hand checks, and charisma deception. In addition, when you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is hit by... And by the way, if you're starting to carry multiple runes, all of this will stack. They're not exclusive, because it says while carrying it, right? You can put it on a rock in your pocket to carry it around. In addition, when you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to invoke the rune and cause that attack to target a different creature within 30 feet of you, other than the attacker, using the same roll. This magic can transfer the attack regardless of the attack's range. Once you invoke the rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. So it's kind of like you create a little portal. Your halfling friend is about to get an axe to the skull, just coming down, and you send out your rune, and like a little portal opens up over your halfling friend, and the axe blade kind of passes through, and then kind of like into the head of the other gnoll 30 feet away. Is it any better or worse than the one fighting style where you can interpose your shield? Or there's a feat that this emulates? I don't think it's too bad. You get to redirect one attack. No, it could be a clutch attack like a critical hit or something. I don't know if this is necessarily a game breaker. Yeah, it'll give you a free crit as a reaction. Yeah, Tesla. Yeah. Yep, I agree. Stein, the Stone Rune. This rune's magic channels the insightfulness of a stone giant. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on wisdom insight checks, and you have dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. If you already have dark vision, its range increases by 30 feet. So this would give us 150 feet of dark vision, which is, oh yeah, a finger of death. Yeah, because this just says an attack roll. It could be a spell, Average Joe. As long as this is as long as this is an attack roll, yeah, you could portal that Finger of Death over to give someone 1,000 years of pain elsewhere. Now, this isn't bad. It could give some basic dark sight to others. This is a minor complaint, or at least a caution. When you have party members that have different distances of dark vision, especially if the dark vision has a closer, more of a closer spread than a further spread, as a dungeon master, it can make describing dungeons and rooms and other dark places convoluted. So let's say that we have our person here with 150, and then we have a Duragar with 120. I think they have 120. If not, then whatever. And then we have an elf with 60. So we went from 150 to 120, then down to 60 feet, and then someone else has this rune, and it just gives them 30 feet. This is theoretically describing the same room or cavern or cave 4 different times at different levels of notice or forewarning. Or you just say, well, everyone else's dark vision doesn't matter and is rendered irrelevant because whoever sees the furthest, we're just going to presume sees for everyone, when that may not necessarily be the case. So it's some convolution, something to, in 5th ed, they did away with, splitting out dim vision and dark vision, and having, a bunch of nuances. It was 60 feet or nothing. And then Drow was even 120 feet or 60 feet. That extra 60 feet could be, there's a lot of extra stuff you could see in that range. And so it was a greater departure, is a greater notch away. This is bringing things into more minutia, and it could cause a little bit of a hiccup, something a DM should just be aware of. And good morning, Clicker. Yeah, different character positioning could matter, and again, it comes down to what is the minutia you want to use to describe to all 4, 5, 6 characters in the party who have different levels of dark vision standing in different places. It's just a consideration. It's not like, table flip, I'm done with this thing. So in addition, when a creature you can see ends its turn within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to invoke the rune and force the creature to make a wisdom saving throw. Unless the save succeeds, the creature is charmed by you for 1 minute. While charmed in this way, the creature has a speed of 0 and is incapacitated, descending into a dreamy stupor. The effect ends if the charmed creature takes any damage, or if someone else uses an action to shake the creature out of its haze. Once you invoke the rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or a long rest. Yeah, then there's the human in the party with the light cantrip. Someone's got to be that human. Is this good or bad? Well, it's once per rest you cause a wisdom saving throw, which are, kind of decent even on animals because they have wisdom and not intelligence. There's a lot of charm, resistance, and immunities as well. Something that you could get caught up on, and this is super particular unless it was changed. Unless it was changed in Eberron, the Kalashtar cannot dream. And so a description like this could possibly muddle. Kalashtar. Severed from dreams. They sleep, but they don't connect to the plane of dreams as other creatures do. So their minds draw from deep memories of the otherworldly spirit. You're immune to spells or other magical effects that require you to dream like dream, but not spells and other magical effects that put you to sleep. Alright, so Again, as a possible speed bump or place of clarification, this might not work on Kalishtar. I don't know if you're going to run into that a ton, but there you go. Now, what this does, though, is if you manage to land this on a boss or, like, you know, a big creature, you know, even like a barbarian may not be the best at this. What this allows you to do, you know, for 1 minute, you and the party, as they're sitting there in a Mortal Kombat, finish him, sort of, you know, stance like this. You and your party just set up a murder circle around the boss. And you go, on the count of 3, we're going to Nova round. 1, 2, 3. And there you go. Uvar. Using this rune, you can glimpse the future like a storm giant. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on intelligence arcana checks, and you can't be surprised as long as you are not incapacitated. In addition, so this is kind of it's a baby feat of alert. In addition, you can invoke the rune as a bonus action to enter a prophetic state for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated. Until the state ends, when you or another creature you see within 60 feet of you, so this is going up to 60, makes an attack roll, a saving throw, or ability check, you can use your reaction to cause the roll to have advantage or disadvantage. So this is dipping a little bit into Divination Wizard. Once you invoke the rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. You know, so it's, you know, kind of a front-end lucky on a halfling. It's kind of a divination little dip. You know, is that necessarily, like, super strong? I agree with you, Tesla, that the hill rune, the runes are fun and flavorful. The hill rune stands out that in sort of a generic consideration, if you don't take the hill rune, you're going to feel like you're missing out on something that seems like an obvious advantage. That's universally applicable to battle, to, I don't know, you fall off of a bridge because a villain tries to murder you and push you over. You wait until you almost hit, activate your rune as a bonus action. Oh, suddenly, you only take half damage from a fall. Now, is that bad? Was that going to be part of the game? Was the game hinging on that? These are all table conditions only you can answer. Though I do believe that the Hill Giant rune stands out as a... this would make people doubt that their other rune selections are fun or good. And that can cast a little bit of a darkness over the others. And, you know, if you're playing in that method, then, you know, whatever. Yep, weapon, shield, or armor. We also have Giant Might. You can imbue yourself with the Might of Giants. As a bonus action, you can magically gain the following benefits, which last for 1 minute. If you are smaller than large, you become large, along with anything. So this is kind of a Duragard dip. Hey, Coffee. Or wait, is that Coffee's here? And oh wait, was this a simultaneous? This is a simultaneous raid between Coffee Cat and Fiora the Tank Girl. Are you all in collusion? And by the way, hello to both communities stopping in and seeing what the Rune Night's all about. Thank you so much. Make yourselves at home here. Let's spam some love for our raiders, everyone. Thank you. Hashtag Rainbow Rise best dad ever in death. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did we have a death? Oh no. And also, hello. We got a coffee raid and a tank girl raid. Welcome all of you. Yeah, it embiggened its exactly, Average Joe. How auspicious. He's been dead, but you know, oh, spirit nonsense. Gotcha. Hashtag just spirit things. We went to the afterlife to visit a character's father and introduce him to her new husband, as well as get him to pass on. Oh, so it was a friendly, like a go into the light. You're complete here. Gotcha. Speak with dead. The runes are magically inscribed as a part of the here, Tamric. There you go, Tamric. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws, and your weapon attacks deal an extra 1d6 damage. So this is, you know, at level 3, you're getting a minute-long, better version of Rage. I mean, Rage bonus damage is 2, and on average, you're dealing 3.5 damage with a d6. And also, something to consider, this is a damage die. Your rage damage, unless I'm remembering incorrectly, your rage damage is a static number. If you crit, you do not double your rage damage. However, if you crit with this, then you'll get to double your d6. And so this is better than rage. Now, you get to use it once per long rest. However, depending on the format of your campaign, this can very much, especially at low levels, this could very much break a combat. Like, you'd have to be throwing maybe like a super duper, you'd have to be throwing a super duper, boss or something at him. Because now you have a high AC fighter that can take half damage and is a huge damage output, him or herself. So we kind of have a level 3 outclassing a barbarian. Oh, I'm sorry, you can use it twice. You're correct. Yeah, you Dynamax. I like that. That's true. You can use this feature twice. And so, actually, if we go back to the barbarian, you get 2 rages. All right, so, I'm sorry, a barbarian can rage 3 times per day at level 3. This is making you a better barbarian because you can hit harder and you can last longer as a fighter in this method. And the barbarian doesn't do anything that still makes it unique compared to you. So, yeah, I don't know. This is really gracious. Really gracious. Oh, yeah, and the fighter abilities. Of course, we're getting extra damage from dueling, which is like the static rage damage anyway. We can second wind to get our hit points back at level 3 as well. So yeah, the fighter in this case is absolutely outclassing a barbarian. Why play a barbarian? Even a berserker barbarian, if you got one of these fighters. Something about lasting longer and hitting harder just sounds... Well, sometimes, when you and the boys are up late night on a Saturday, right? What I'm talking about D&D, we're keeping this PG-13 here, my friends. Come on now. What are you thinking? Defensive runes. You learn to invoke your rune magic to protect your allies. When another creature you can see within 60 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to grant a bonus to the creature's AC against that attack. The bonus equals 1 plus your intelligence modifier, minimum of 2. In addition, you learn 1 new rune, so we're stacking our runes now. Within 60 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to grant a bonus to the creature's AC. So every turn, this is a shield. Even if it's a kind of a baby shield. Alright, it might not be a +5. But we're not using our reactions to interpose our shield. We're a duelist. If we go like strength intelligence build, by level 7, we probably have what, a +3 maybe? Or depending on how well you rolled or your point buy. This is every turn. Every turn you're casting shield for free. Or close to it. if you want to make a giant rune knight, Tamric, that's the flavor that they're basing this in. Though the giants don't have to be connected to the mechanics. Yeah, you don't even need Great Con. And you don't need a Great Dex either. You are Big McLarge Huge. You are Slab Bulkhead. There's all sorts of other names that we can call this character. So we're going to get defensive runes. So actually here, I should write down, because we're examining this as we're giving the archetype to our Drow, okay? So we do have, we have Giant, we have Smith's Tools, and now we get 2 runes. So runes are going to be kind of like invocations, in a sense. We get 2 at level 3. And then we're going to get another one. We're going to get another one at level 7. We're also going to get Giant Might. And then we're going to get Great Stature. The magic of your runes permanently alters you. When you gain this feature, roll 3d4. You grow a number of inches in height equal to the roll. Well, she is kind of a short stack we generate. She's only 5 feet. You grow a number of inches equal to the roll. Moreover, the extra damage you deal with your Giant Might feature increases to a d8. In addition, you learn 1 new rune of your choice from your rune magic feature. So not only are we're getting thicker. We go from 1C to 2 or 2Cs to 3Cs. We also get Great Stature. And this is going to be a level 10 rune. Then we get Rune Magic Mastery. Rune the Magical Mystery. It kind of sounds like a magical girl, like you spin around. You know, your body goes to a silhouette as your like armor kind of comes on in ribbons. You can invoke each rune you know from your rune magic feature twice rather than once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a short or a long rest. Runes twice per rest. Ooh. Remember, epic level starts at level 17 in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Epic level is 17 through 20. The fact that you can do all 4 of your runes twice per short rest? Ooh, doggies. I hope you have a DM that gets joy out of throwing tremendously difficult encounters at you. And it's not even just encounters now, because think of this. You are very well rounded in roleplay. Look at the checks you're getting proficiency in. And remember too, every time you level up, you can swap your runes. 1 rune. You can swap 1 rune. And your capacity increases as you level up as well. And we get a new rune of our choice. Level 15. Now we have 5 runes. And then we have, now this is an epic, now we're epic level. We get Blessing of the Allfather. You learn how to share your rune magic with your allies. When you use your Giant Might feature, you can choose 1 willing creature you can see within 60 feet of you. The chosen creature also gains the benefits of your Giant Might feature. You know, in comparison, as an epic level ability, this actually is kind of underwhelming. That's right, lasting longer, hitting harder, getting thicker. That's what this class is all about here. Oh, absolutely, Tamric. Tesla, now you can make your party barbarian. Yeah, that's right. Now you can look at the barbarian and go, "Oh, wee little babby. Now you can be as good as Navet. Our very svelte drow. So now it comes. So we have 5 runes, and if we look, you have Uvar, Stein, Sky, Is, Ild, and Hog. You get all but one. All but one by level 15. And so, which one wouldn't you take? Would be more the question. And so a way to answer this, Shlomo says, I'll tell you what, Shlomo, I want you to roll a d6 in chat, and I want you to determine which one we do not take with that d6. We don't take number 5. So we don't take Stein. We're not dazing people, which arguably would probably be good for our purposes because we want to steal money. So if you're randomly determining this is one way to do it, honestly, she'd probably take Stein because that's her shtick. Stein is her shtick. And believe me, she waggles her shtick her shtick gets into everyone's business. Shlomo, you choose the only one that's dramatically and remarkably important to who she is as a person. You violated her as a drow being. Tesla's just very casually going 1d1. Yeah, the night vision would reduce down too. But you know what? You know what, Shlomo? She doesn't need magic to do this. She's all natural. She doesn't need a rune to woo someone. And so we're gonna stick to those guns, Shlomo. We're gonna stick to those guns. She's gonna be at 120 for dark vision. And she's gonna take him down the line. Hog, Ild, Is, Sky, and Uvar. I am the rune. Excellent. Don't you love character creation? For all those purposes, huh? All right. Now, my friends, we've discovered who she is, and it's time to determine her scores, right? We know who she is. We know how she operates. How does that translate from fluff into crunch, into mechanics? And so we're going to use the standard array of 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8 and drop those numbers in. She does make poor choices, Shlomo. Exactly. I think wisdom actually would be low, and there is no shame in having skill proficiencies in a your dump stat, because she's still going to be pretty good. She's going to have a +6 to her proficiency by the time this comes around. So anyway, I do think wisdom is low because she can't save money. She's flippant with it. And she's clearly made a poor decision before. I mean, look at her bond. I fleeced the wrong person. I must work to ensure that the individual never crosses paths with me or those I care about. Because she made an oopsie. So now, intelligence. What if we say that her intelligence is actually 15? What if she's smart? She's smart. Hey, that's what low-level magic buffs are for. Dump stats. Now, she has to be halfway decent with deception, to try and work over someone and to build the con. So I'm kind of wondering if our 10 doesn't actually go into our constitution. So we have our 8, our 10, and our 15. I'm kind of thinking 14 strength, 13 dex, 12 charisma. Or is she a little bit more charismatic than that? Does she get a 13 charisma and then tie her strength and her dex? So she lifts and she does yoga. A 12 intelligence and 15 in charisma. So what makes you shift to charisma in this regard? And I have no problem making intelligence is the determination for the saves on this stuff. So I mean, naturally by default we'd want to lean towards intelligence, but I don't mind making a low intelligence rune knight. Well, don't think of her... don't use the name Rune Knight to define... Not all Rune Knights are the same. Rune Knight is... think of Rune Knight as a placeholder that provides a broad example of something. She's not necessarily a knight by being a Rune Knight. I think charisma being lower drives more towards that one guy she messed up with. Yeah, so she, she has a decent charisma, but things happen. Yeah, so, I mean, don't let... It's just like, barbarian. Just because you're playing a barbarian doesn't mean you have to talk like an unga-bunga caveman. Go, ooh, me no read. I can only swing great axe like every other barbarian who wear only loincloth. You can have an extremely civil barbarian. One of the first characters we made in this channel was a barbarian with the noble background. And it simply reflected that he was strong, he was stoic, and when he got passionate about something, he got passionate about that thing. So don't let the class name define the person. The class name is simply a quick reference tab in your brain. Yeah, Tarzan was quite civil. There you go. Barbarian with a noble background is Edelgard from the new Fire Emblem. I will take your word on that. So let's drop 12 into charisma, and let's drop 14 into strength, and 13 into dexterity. So for Navet here, we're going to add in her racial modifier to bring her dexterity to a 15, and then we're going to throw on a charisma here. Now what we're going to do, because she is getting 4 stat bumps. She's 1 level away from that 5th stat bump, where you add 2 points to 1 ability score or 1 point to 2. We can add 8 points across the board here, wherever we'd like. If we want to keep her charisma at 13, we can, and we can bump up her strength. What if we did this? Let's go intelligence 16, dexterity 16, and now we have 6 more points. We can cap out strength if we want. Or we can go... because I'm sorry, we have 6 left. If we add 5 of the 6 to strength and give her a 19, we could actually bump up her charisma to a 14. And sure, we're not swinging with a +5, and we have a +4 instead, although this is putting in a lot more work at this point. And of course, with, our ridiculous stuff happening anyway, let alone any magic items. However, remember, if you're ever floating a 1 somewhere, don't be afraid to throw it into strength, because you get a mechanical benefit from an increased strength score. And besides, she's gonna get 1 more stat bump next level at level 19. And so she'll top off her strength most likely. And then drop something into, I don't know, wherever else she'd like to. Does this Rune Knight have a phone number? Oh my. This is going to give her a 4 strength, 3 dex, 0 con, 3 int, -1 wisdom, and a 2 charisma. Her passive perception... Oh, actually, now we got to go through. The modifier goes in all the squares, but if you're proficient, then you get to add your proficiency. Now, I don't know which 3 that she has equipped. Because if we go up here... remember, whenever you finish a long rest, you can touch a number of objects equal to the number of... I'm sorry. No, so we can actually do 5 into each of the objects. To be eligible, must be a weapon, a suit of armor, or a shield. So, you know, she can put one on a shield, one on her armor, and then she can have, like, 3 weapons or something. And this is actually... So this is actually going to give her... oh, boy. So we're going to get to add in a bunch of stuff from the first paragraph from each of these. All right. Bestows a resilience reminiscent of... All right, so this is advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. So versus charmed, poisoned, and we have resistance to poison damage. We are going to have... Smith's Tools is going to have 2x proficiency. I'm not going to put this because this has to be invoked. What else do we get? We get... oh, this is advantage. All right, I'm sorry, it's not proficiency. It's advantage with wisdom and charisma. Okay. So this is going to... Under East here, we're going to put advantage on... animal handling and intimidation. I'm just going to put quick little references here. We're going to get sleight of hand. Oh goodness, we're good at that. We would definitely want to get that one. And charisma deception. Ooh, this is certainly this is who we are as our charlatan here. So this is going to give us advantage on sleight of hand and deception. And we passed up Stein, and so we're going to take Uvar. You can glimpse the future. Okay, and so this is Arcana checks, and you can't be surprised. So this is advantage on Arcana, and can't be surprised. I look like I'm gazing into the Eye of Sauron here when I'm trying to look at my other monitor. Excellent. All right, so let's continue. Our strength saving throw is going to be 10. Athletics is 4. Dex is 3 down the way, except sleight of hand, which is 9. Constitution is 6. Intelligence is 3 down the line, except for history, which is going to be 9. Wisdom is going to be a 5 perception, 5 survival, but we're going to carry this -1 all the way through. Charisma saving throw is 2, intimidation, performance, persuasion, but we will have an 8 on deception. Excellent. Now our passive perception is 15 because that's 10 plus our perception modifier. And that's our natural awareness. Our armor class, honestly, at this point, at level 18, I don't know. We probably do have a shield, especially because we're a dueling fighter, but I don't know what it's going to be. Our initiative is going to be a +3 because that's a dexterity check. Our hit points. This is how we calculate our hit points. You get your maximum amount of hit points based on your hit die at level 1. So that's 10. Then for our 17 remaining levels of our 18, because remember, we already have our first level taken care of, you get half +1 traditionally. Your DM might have you roll or do something else. Or if your DM is like, yeah, we're running hardcore mode, you're going to need all your hit points. You max out every level. Well then. Then we're going to add, for all 18 levels, we get bonus hit points equal to our Constitution modifier, and this is easy math, because this is times 0. So this is going to fall off. Then we're going to go to... let's see, that's 42, so this is 102. Plus 10, we have 112 hit points at level 18. You might say, oh, geez, that doesn't seem like a lot for a fighter. She can second wind. She has resistance. She has high AC. 112 is going to carry her a good distance. Believe you me. Okay. If we're attacking with a strength weapon or a dex weapon, and we're just going to segregate it on there because I don't know what weapon she's going to be using. Let's have a plus 10 to hit and a plus 9 to hit. I mean, damage will be what it is. Though remember, there's damage riders because of your runes and your dueling style. Ooh, this is going to be fun to put into a Roll20 character. I mean, maybe no worse than a barbarian because you're better than a barbarian. Hey, yo! Got there. We don't need to worry about spell slots. We don't have any. We do have some drow magic, but, you know, that is what it is. We're charismatic enough to pull off, you know, some magic. So yeah. Congratulations. We have our female drow rune knight fighter who is a charlatan who insinuates herself into people's lives and bilks them for money or information or favors. And she does something ultimately altruistic, even if it's, well, you know, irresponsible of her to do, because she finds herself in debt afterwards. Now here's the coup de grace. Oh, hey, Saname. Oh, no. Well, Saname, you know, on this channel, I've lost 2 kitties, and, you know, of course, I've lost more before that. So, Saname, you're in good company. People who understand, and, you know, people who can empathize with your situation. So, come on. Bring it in, Saname. Come on. Yep, there we go. There we go. You're very welcome. We're in this together through the rough times and the fun times. And so, Saname, I'm going to give you a cat butt salute of love and affection and camaraderie in this rough time. Ta-da! We have a character, everyone. If you want to give her a last name or a title or something, we certainly can do so. But for the most part, she's complete. If any of you out there want to draw her, well, you're welcome to. She's got the strength. She's got the looks. She's got the moves. But let's take a break. And when we come back... Oh my gosh! Shlomo! You're absolutely correct. Fighters get extra bumps. Oh my goodness. Good call. I'm so caught up on looking at the barbarian and I'm like, Merful. You are correct. An ability score improvement at 6. And one at 14 also. Yeah, we get to add 4 more points? Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're probably going to grow her brain. Maybe we could even grow her constitution some. I'll tell you what. I got to get up and take a break. You tell me where you want to put those points on her. And we can make some modifications. And then we're going to make our second Rune Knight character. And with your all's help, genning up numbers... We'll find out who this Rune Knight is, where he or she has come from, and this Rune Knight's particular journey, aside from the one that we just made.